tree of life. But it's again a special occasion where we can recognize that on that day was the day that our Christ was born. Amen. We're going to take a moment today and talk about Thanksgiving. I know we just came out of our Thanksgiving week. Again, as I mentioned, where we were able to sit with our family members and meet with our loved ones and be able to eat more than we probably should have. I know I had.
Amen.
But so thankful that so much was there, that God had blessed us with so much. How many of you all are thankful for all of your blessings that you received just this past week?
Amen.
How many of you all thanked someone for cooking and all the preparations and everything that was included in that day?
Yeah, I thank myself.
How many of you all cooked? Can I see a hand? How many of you all cooked? Amen. 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 What a task to be able to go into the kitchen and all the preparations, and you want everything to be perfect for everyone that's eating and tasting your food. And you pour so much into it. And how would you feel if after all that preparation, no one thanked you? If after all that you poured into the cooking and the preparation and the buying and the shopping and fighting with the lines and the traffic, no one thanked you?
All right.
How would that make you feel? Ponder that thought. How would that make you feel if after all you've done, no one thanks you? And then I want to shift into a date. It was about 1840 that passenger van, 20 passenger van, there were 17 people that was on this passenger van. And as they were traveling through Detroit, Michigan, they veered off into Lake Michigan. It was in the middle of winter. They fell through the ice. There were 17 of them that fell through the ice. There was a specific gentleman that happened to be on the same road at the same time who saw this passenger van veer into this cold, icy water where 17 people were in the middle of. This particular gentleman, Ed Buchanan, he was a professional swimmer. He saw all these people that were in the ice in the middle of winter, hurting, and he dove in 17 times and saved every single one of those people.
Whoa, man. Amen.
Every single one of them he saved. The story has been told that in the midst of that, after facing all the elements and everything that he had to go through to save these people, his life was shortened. He had a lot of health problems, being exposed to all the elements and all the stuff that he endured trying to save these people. And he passed away at an early age. And the paper that wrote an article about him had mentioned that in the midst of all that and saving all 17 of those people, not one of them said thank you.
Thank you. Whoa.
Not one of them said thank you. Let us turn our Bibles to Luke 17th chapter, verse 11 through 17. We're going to read 11 through 18. Luke 17th chapter, verse 11 through 18. If you're able to stand in reverence of God's word. Again, Luke 17th chapter, verses 11 through 18. Amen. Luke 17th chapter, verses 11 through 18. And it reads, "And it came to pass, as he went to Jerusalem, that he passed through the midst of Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered into a certain village, there met him 10 men that were lepers, which stood afar off. lifted up their voices and said, Jesus,
All right.
Master, have mercy on us. And when he saw them, he said unto them, Go, show yourselves unto the priests. And it came to pass that as they went, they were cleansed. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back,
All right.
and with a loud voice glorified God, and fell down on his face at his feet, giving him thanks. And he was a Samaritan.
All right.
And Jesus answering said, Were there not 10 that were cleansed? But where are the 9?
All right.
And there are not found that returned to give glory to God, save this stranger. You may be seated. And we have read Luke 17 chapter, verses 11 through 18. May God add a blessing to the reading, the hearing, and doing of his most holy and righteous word.
Amen.
I would like to leave for a sermon topic today. Which one are you?
All right. Whoa.
Which one are you? Just as in the story of Ed Buchanan, we see a shocking example of ungratefulness in today's text. 10 lepers were healed, but only one of them gave thanks. Isn't that sad?
Amen.
Jesus asked, Where are the 9? You think that with something as life-changing as being healed of leprosy, all 10 of them would have returned to give thanks. But out of 10 lepers, only one exercised what the writer of Hebrews called the sacrifice of praise.
Amen.
Have you wondered why the other 9 did not return? Let us ponder our lives as we live today and suggest to you some reasons why they did not return. How about convenience?
All right.
Is God too inconvenient for you? Maybe one said, I'll go back, but it's just not convenient.
Amen.
Maybe the football game was on. Maybe the basketball game was on. Maybe I had some family in town. Maybe it's just too inconvenient for me to go back and thank God. Well, it's never really convenient to be grateful, is it? That's why the writer of Hebrews refers to it as the sacrifice of praise. A sacrifice is, by definition, something that costs or is not convenient. So to give thanks to God or to anybody is never really convenient. But we must make the effort to be thankful to God, even if it means inconvenience.
All right.
For instance, it takes effort and it's not convenient to come to church and worship God in thanks. It takes effort to spend time with the Lord in your personal quiet time with God. It takes effort to give him thanks for his goodness, his blessings, and his provision. It will never be convenient, but God always blesses us when we take the time and the effort to worship him and show him our gratefulness to him. Church, whatever you do, make sure that it is convenient to give God thanks. Maybe you're too proud. Perhaps the former leper was just too proud. It takes a measure of humility to express thanks and appreciation. That's why a lot of people get all tongue-tangled when it comes to thanking someone for what they've done. It takes humility to say thank you because it shows that we need God and we need others.
All right.
Humility shows that we're not sufficient on our own. It means that we know that we need God because we can do nothing on our own, but we lean and depend on God for all things. Many scriptures throughout the Bible stress how God puts a great priority on humility. Proverbs 22:4 says, by humility and the fear of the Lord are riches, honor, and life. James 4 says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble.
All right.
We should never be so proud that we cannot show gratefulness and be thankful. I pray that at some point this past week you gave thanks to God, not only because of what he has provided for you and your family, but that you thank God simply because of who he is. Did you wonder if maybe one of the lepers was too self-conscious? Maybe he thought, I just don't know what I would say. I wouldn't know how to express myself. Saints, we need to learn the language of thanksgiving.
All right.
It ought to be such a part of our lives that it becomes an ordinary part of our vocabulary, both in our prayers and with others. We should regularly express thanks to God and to others. We instinctively know we should confess our sin before coming into God's presence. And we have no problem with supplication because that's usually the main reason that we get out on our knees and pray, just so that we can ask God for some things. But our problem is adoration and thanksgiving.
All right.
Include in every prayer ample time for thanksgiving and adoration. Thank and adore him for your blessings. Thank and adore him for your family. Thank and adore him for your health.
All right.
Thank and adore him for your job. It might not be the job that you want, but thank him that he has provided you for a job.
All right.
You may not like Auntie May, but thank him that you have Auntie May.
Right.
Thank and adore him for the food on your table. It might not be an 18-ounce steak,
all right,
but thank God that he's going to provide everything that you need. Thank and adore him for the roof over your head. It might not be in Triple Crown. It might not be the biggest house on the biggest block, but thank him for the roof over your head.
Amen.
Thank and adore God for your trials. Thank and adore God for everything that you have in your life. I remember growing up and being a teenager, and we had youth day at our church, and this particular time we had picked my cousin to pray.
All right.
When he prayed, his prayer sounded something like this. He said, "Dear Jesus, thank you for the grass and for the trees and for the houses and for our cars and our coats that keep us warm."
All right.
This is the first time that he had prayed in church, and I could see everyone's eyes opening up, and I knew this because my eyes was opening, wondering where he was going in his prayer. But his prayer was so real, so meaningful.
All right.
I look at my own prayer life, church, and how easily I take all things for granted, and how I went straight to the throne of grace with a give me this and a give me that attitude.
All right.
I can't help but think that God delighted in my cousin's prayer because he was so full of praise and thankfulness, even for the little things.
All right.
We must learn to be effusive with praise to God, even for the little things in life. Church, perhaps the fourth leper said, "No use telling him my thanks. He knows it anyway."
All right.
Yes, the truth of the matter is that God does know whether or not we're grateful. But he desires for us to express our thankfulness to him verbally. Don't we resent being taken for granted? Doing something for someone and not getting a thank you in return? Don't we appreciate it when someone expresses gratefulness to us?
Right.
It brings joy to our heart. Don't you think God receives joy when we express our thanks to him?
Don't get me wrong, it's not that God needs our thanksgiving and praise.
Right, tell him.
God has no needs whatsoever. But he desires it for two particular reasons. One, thanksgiving brings glory and honor to whom it is rightfully due.
Amen.
Second, thanksgiving brings a sense of joy and peace to our hearts. Worship and thanksgiving from the heart always edifies us. You see, God knows and loves us and wants us to experience a joy of worship.
Amen.
Saints, are you too busy with life to stop and give thanks? Maybe the fifth leper got too busy with life's cares.
All right.
Too many of us today are caught up in materialism. Today we have cars and money and furniture and all kinds of material things. But we pause very often and we stop and don't think to give God praise for all the things that he has done. We just work harder and we neglect God even more, hoping that we will get more and more. But I stopped by to tell you, you need to stop and give God some praise.
Amen.
Loading up on all the benefits that God has for us, and then we're ungrateful and unthankful. God, please help us be thankful.
Right.
Help us to take the time to thank you for your goodness and generosity to us. What about that sixth man?
All right.
The sixth man didn't even know why he didn't go back. For some reason, he just wasn't excited about his healing. Maybe for whatever reason, he was consumed with bitterness. Church, bitterness and resentment will rob you of your spirit of joy and of praise.
Amen.
In fact, bitterness and thanksgiving cannot coexist in a person's life. One will always overshadow the other. Show me a bitter person, and I'll show you an ungrateful person.
All right.
Show me someone full of thanksgiving, and I'll show you someone free of bitterness and resentment. It is time to let go of the bitterness and let God into your heart.
Right.
Are you a forgetful Christian?
Well,
What if leper number 7 didn't return because he was waning in his awareness of all that God had done for him? He quickly forgot God's blessings.
All right.
He was the kind who only calls on God when he has a problem. And then he cries, God, I've got a problem. If you can just come on down and help me, please.
All right.
Graciously, God comes to the rescue. But then God doesn't hear from him again until he has another problem.
well,
How would we feel if we had a friend who never came by to see us except when they had a financial crisis and they needed a little cash?
All right.
Every time he came, you'd help him. And every time he'd leave, he didn't show any appreciation. And then you never see him again until the next time that he fell on hard times and needed to be bailed out. I think that's how God must feel sometimes, and we all ought to be ashamed of it and get a little better. Show appreciation and thanksgiving to our Heavenly Father at all times, in the good and in the bad.
All right.
Do you ever sit at home and just quit on God?
well,
Do you know what I mean by quitting on God? When you just don't feel like doing it. I mean, that could be leper number 8. He maybe just didn't feel like going back to say thank you. He'd been waiting on Jesus for a long, long time. His healing was a very traumatic experience. He had already traveled far to see the priest like Jesus had instructed. So why should I just go back to tell him thank you? He was controlled by his feelings instead of by what was right. One of the greatest truths you can learn in the Christian life is to do right because it's good to do right, regardless of your feelings.
amen.
If you wait to thank God when you feel like it, you might not ever get around to it.
All right.
But remember, church, praise is a sacrifice. God, help us to thank you even when we don't feel like it. I don't know how many times in my Christian life I haven't felt like doing something, but I did it anyway. And in the process, my feelings changed. Sometimes, church, I don't feel like reading my Bible, but if I just start, because it's the right thing to do, before long, I can't turn the Bible down.
All right.
See, my feelings start to change. Sometimes I don't feel like praying or going to church. But when I do it anyway, despite how I feel, before long, I'm into it. The Spirit gets a hold of me, and I'm enjoying it. Expressing gratefulness to God, church, is one of those things that you should always do. You should do it whether you feel like it or not. Amen. Do it when you're happy. Do it when you're sad. Right. Thank God when you get a promotion, and thank God when your car breaks down.
All right.
Paul says, in everything, give thanks. Amen. For this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. So in happy moments, praise God. In difficult moments, seek God. In quiet moments, worship God. In painful moments, trust God. In every moment of your life, thank God.
All right.
Are you feeling sorry for yourself? What if the ninth leper felt sorry for himself? Maybe he'd had leprosy for 22 years while one of the others only had it for 6 months. Why didn't God heal me 22 years ago like the others? So many times we get to feeling sorry for ourselves and we fail to see our blessings. We count our blessings on one hand, but we'll need a calculator to count our complaints.
All right.
But I ask God for strength that I might achieve. But I was made weak that I might learn to humbly obey. Amen. I asked for health that I might do great things. But I was given an infirmity that I might do better things. I asked for riches that I might be happy. But I was given just enough so that I could be wise. Right. I asked for power that I might have the praise of others. But I was given weakness that I might feel the need of God. Right. I asked for all things that I might enjoy life. But I was given life that I might enjoy all things. Right. I got nothing I asked for, but everything that I had hoped for. Almost despite myself, my unspoken prayers were answered. I am among men most richly blessed. Family, how truly blessed we really are. The Bible teaches that our trials are actually blessings in disguise. God, help us to stop pitying ourselves and realize how truly blessed we are. May I ask you all a question? Which of the 10 people I portrayed today best describes you?
All right.
Are you one of the 9 who has failed to thank God, or are you like the one man who has returned to God? Are you guilty of not having an attitude of gratitude? If so, you need to confess it as sin before God. Christians ought to be the most grateful people in the world because we more than anyone else know whom to thank and why. Amen.
All right.
May God help you to thank him in all things in your life. Right. To thank him daily in your prayer time. To thank him during the day for all of his blessings in your life. And to express gratefulness to people as well as God for the contributions in your life. That's hard to do on a sustained basis. So I'm going to give you all an assignment for the whole year, for 2020. How many of you all have a cell phone? Cell phone. Pull your cell phones out. Wave them in the air. Pull your cell phones out. Wave your cell phones in the air like you just don't care. Amen? Amen. Now, I want you all to take this challenge very seriously. I want you to take a picture at least once a week of something that you are thankful for.
All right.
I challenge you to join me in this adventure and share with me throughout the year the ways you are learning not just to be thankful one time a year, which is on Thanksgiving, but to cultivate an attitude of gratitude the whole year. Let us focus our minds as we transition into our next phase of service, where we can give thanks to God for allowing Jesus to come down and give his life as a ransom so that we might have a right to the tree of life. Saints, which one are you? God bless and keep you. The doors of the church are now
All right.
Amen.
Amen.